Hey guys, what's up? It's Iflin here, and today we're going to be learning how to play everybody's most underwhelming frame, Ember. That doesn't make any sense. Everybody's most underwhelming frame. Everybody's favorite most underwhelming frame. Everybody's favorite underwhelming frame. That would have made more sense. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about everybody's favorite underwhelming frame, Ember. And the reason that we call her underwhelming is because she doesn't really have any scaling damage for being a AoE damage dealing frame that she's kind of marketed as, right? So she's good for star chart content. She's good for just blasting through it. But if you want to bring her into a defense run or a survival run or any mission that kind of scales up in levels, then Ember is just going to let you down, right? You can play her with some capacity in those types of missions, but she's just going to be hit by the scaling hammer, and you would be better off bringing a frame like Saren or Equinox. Just some frame who has some sort of scaling and some capacity would be better than Ember, right? So people are very, very quick to write her off, and she kind of just became a meme. But that being said, she can still hold her own weight in a few missions, and she is good for people who like to be lazy in the likes of an Exterminator, right? She brings a little bit of diversity to the table, and there's a few different ways to play her, but the main one is just turning on your fourth ability, which is World on Fire, running for a mission, and letting everything burn, right? Versus enemies who have armor or enemies who have heavy shields, which is just the Grenier and the Corpus, then it's basically not worth using, really. But that's heavy shields and heavy armor, right? Low level armor, low level shields, you're gonna pass through, you're gonna burn through, you get it, because Ember. But whenever it comes to those leader levels, like I'm saying level 30 and above, you're gonna put in a little bit more work to kill the enemies, right? So you can't be 110% lazy, but it's a little bit more active to play Ember now because you actually have to use her 2 and her 3. The second ability is kind of like a buff and a stun. The third ability is kind of like a buff and a damage deal, wide area, except the buff is you stand in the middle of the fire and you shoot through it, and it adds extra fire damage, which is alright. And then you have your fourth ability, which just damages enemies, and then it gets stronger over time, but then it decreases in range, right? So it's a trade-off for more damage, which isn't necessarily all too great. She's just an underwhelming frame. There's nothing else I can really say about it. So this is the type of build that I'm running. Whenever it comes to building Ember, do what you want. I would recommend range and strength. Strength doesn't really matter too much because, like I said, she's going to not scale very well anyway. So just having enough strength on there, like at least 100%, is going to be fine for the content that you're going to be using her in. So throw it in the range, and then you should be good to go. And then you got to make it so that you don't like just waste all of your energy whenever you turn on World on Fire, right? So Streamline, Fleet Expertise, Prime Continuity is what is going to allow you to get the lowest strain possible, which is 0.75 energy per second, right? So you have a radius of 35 meters, you got damage of 440, status chance of 38%. Status chance increases with your power strength, I'm assuming, or I know. But again, it's not worth building too high. We've got our Fire Blast on here, which is your buff and damage deal. 220 on the explosion damage per second, which is the burning. 247.5, duration 21 seconds. So like you would look at these numbers and you'd think, oh yeah, those are pretty good. But whenever you factor in shields and armor, it's just like those fall down very, very fast. We've got our Accelerant, stun nearby enemies with strong Accelerant, increases all fire damage dealt. So you got a radius of 47 meters, duration of 31.5, and then a damage multiplier of 2.75. So not a huge multiplier, right? Whenever you compare that to other frames that have like multiplicative damage increases to, you know, certain damage types, that's low. That's very, very low. So, you know, build her for range, build her for strength, have Prime Continuity, Fleeting, and Streamline, have these free mods on, and then build the rest how you like. I would say that range is more important than strength because remember, you get half range for double damage. So have more range on there to kind of like turn her back into the old Ember that she really was. Like pass or post-changed Ember is what I would call this specific build. Combining that with Arcane Consequence because, like I said, this is the type of build that I would use just for running through a low-level mission with a newer player who for some reason wants to do an exterminate or a capture or whatever. So yeah, it's also worth bringing weapons that deal immediate fire damage, right? So, or any weapon that has fire damage on it, because your fire damage is going to be increased, right? So makes her a little bit better versus the likes of, you know, ferrite armored enemies, because they take 25% bonus damage from fire. But like I said, there's going to be better options, right? Like counter munitions viral combo plus prime being, or expel, or stripping away the armor using gas. There's so much stuff. So we're going to use Ember in this level 30 to 35 mission in the Void versus a varying group of different enemies, and just kind of gonna show you how I use her. Again, there's not really too much to be said other than turn your 4 on, jump into the room, hit your third ability and your second ability at the same time. I would recommend hitting your second ability to stun all the enemies, like so. And then use your third ability to kind of finish anybody off who isn't killed by your buffed up World of Fire because of accelerant. So turn on World of Fire. Whenever it gets to 100%, toggle it off, toggle it back on again, jump into the room, use accelerant to stun, hit your third ability, and then, you know, do your due diligence and finish them off with whatever abilities you want to use. So if you stand in the middle of this fire right here, it actually buffs up your fire damage, implying you shoot through it, which is alright. You know, again, not an insane increase, but make sure that you have that second ability. Make sure that second ability is affecting all of the enemies in your general vicinity, so then you just deal more overall damage to them, right? Also, notice how far I'm bullet jumping and how fast I'm bullet jumping. That's because of our what's it called, Arcane Consequence, because of the Ignis just proccing headshots, which is awesome. So yeah, you can see that every single enemy, I still have my Decaying Dragon key on from the last video I made. Every single enemy is just like taking a bunch of damage, but once this guy, that Corrupted Ancient, if he comes in, all those enemies that are around you, they're going to be buffed up. They're not going to take like a lot of damage. These heavy gunners, they have more base armor, plus the bombards. Those guys aren't going to die like extremely fast either. And like I said, these guys are just level 30, 35. And you're already kind of struggling to kill a few of the heavier units, right? Whenever you start going up to like wave 50, wave 60 territory, that's when Ember starts to fall off. So that was a pretty quick mission, right? Like that was 2 minutes. 2 minutes for an exterminate. You can do the exact same in the capture, but the thing is, make sure that you spam your accelerant. Accelerant is a lifesaver. If you're doing a rescue mission, you want to hack a panel, hit your accelerant because it's going to stun. You're capturing a capture target, hit your accelerant, it's going to stun. Also, using your third ability to burn enemies or ignite them, that's going to stun them too. They're going to have that weird fire effect, like, oh, I'm on fire. And then that's going to allow you to do whatever it is that you're doing in terms of the objective. She's okay. Like, I can't just sit here and bash Ember, you know, but it's just like there would be better frames, right? So let's do this 32 to 36. This is completely armored, nothing but Grenier in here. So you have a mixture of heavy gunners and bombards and stuff. This is where you would come to farm focus if you're using Sleep Equinox. So do the exact same thing. Of course, using things like Xeneric plus energy pads to keep your energy up is a good idea, right? So fourth ability, second ability, third ability. All these guys are going to die from the burning. Those are light Grenier units. But here's this guy right here, Heavy Gunner. He takes a little bit more. You got to wait for that damage to scale up on your fourth ability. But like I said, that enemy armor is going to scale up very, very high. So the damage that we're dealing right now, it's like, sure, maybe 600 per tick on World on Fire whenever we're at 100%. But like I said, range is halved, damage is doubled. We have to be like pretty up close to the enemies for them to kind of take that amount of damage. So enemies who come in the melee range are going to be affected by that. Enemies who are coming to hit you whenever you're on a console. Enemies who are... What was the other example that I had in my head like a second ago? I completely forget. But enemies that are coming to kill you whenever you're capturing a capture objective, you know? But those guys are easily just stunned with your second ability, with your third ability, like I said. So 1.6k on that guy, which was pretty decent, I guess. And here's this guy. He's dead. So it takes a little bit to kill the enemies, and you kind of have to be right up at their face. So it's not ideal in any circumstance. So let's just go ahead, turn off World and Fire. So we're back down to the base damage again, but we have more range, so we're not doing as much damage. But you can spam your third ability to deal more damage overall, right? So spamming your third ability is a very, very good idea because it leaves this multitude trail of fire, which is going to be good for damage over time if enemies like intend to walk through this, right? So in defense, you can kind of like make like a little ring of fire. Haha, Johnny Cash reference. I think it's Johnny Cash. Pretty sure it is. So you can make this ring of fire and just hold areas down like that. Also, your first ability has a charge mechanic on it, so you can use this to hold down areas too. You charge it up, let it go, and it leaves this little ball of fire, which is going to damage enemies over time. This is actually probably one of my favorite Ember abilities now, because like it's such a cool effect, and the damage over time is pretty decent, right? But you have to be very, very accurate with it, so put it on a doorway. Put it on a doorway. Enemies who spawn near that doorway or come through that doorway, they will most likely die. Implying that they are low enough level, right? So, like I said, wouldn't use Ember in higher level content because she just doesn't scale all that well, and that's really the only point that I'm trying to get across here. But other than that, she's a good lazy frame. Of course, you got to put in a little bit of elbow grease to kill heavily armored enemies or enemies who are above level, but overall, she's a pretty okay frame. Something different to play, but you'd be better off using the likes of Saren, Equinox, Octavia, stuff like that. They're just kind of better off at, or better at dealing damage because of the way that they scale and the higher base damage that they deal, or the better types of damage that they deal, right? So it's really down to you, but I don't know. What I would do is I would just like use a shotgun or use an Ignis or something, have fire damage on it, use my accelerant in a bunch of rooms while having World of Fire turned on, maybe hit my free a few times, and then use Spin the Wind plus that damaging shotgun or something to really just get free content really fast, and maybe the Archiplasma or something. So yeah, but that is how you play Ember. She's pretty chill frame. Not really. Chill frame. Ember. Fire. I'm not funny. I don't know why you're still here. This is pretty much the end of the video. I'm just waiting to get back in the ship before I do my outro because I'm weird like that. Because I don't know why. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, go ahead, hit that like button below. If you want to see more Warframe content from me, hit subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.